In South Africa, we dealt with apartheid. The black people were oppressed. A leader named Nelson Mandela, he was part of the African National Congress. They were a liberation movement, but he was actually jailed, and he spent 27 years in prison. The young people began a movement in the 1980s. And ultimately, what led to the change in South Africa was those youth movements. And that's what changed South Africa. And so at Lead the Cause, we took our young people to the Nelson Mandela Square. For the young people, realizing, taking them to a venue where youth created a movement, and they praying at the Nelson Mandela Square for this new movement that we're starting in South Africa. And so that's what changes hearts eternally. That's what changes mindsets. I mean, it changes young people throughout their whole being. Having young people pray for their fellow friends, for change in South Africa, I believe is a catalyst for what's happening not just in South Africa, but what's happening throughout Africa and throughout the world. This is a movement of multipliers. We lead the cause this year, and next year it's multiplying into 3 events, 3 major cities. And the following years, we hope that this multiplies across South Africa and then across Africa into every major city into Africa, and then every major city around the world, globally reaching young people for the gospel. I dreamt of Victoria Falls. In Africa, it's on the border of Zimbabwe and Zambia. It's these majestic waterfall. And there was a rock in the middle. My dream was I saw all these young people going over the falls, screaming. In a sense, they're on the path of destruction. As a teenager myself, I was on a path of destruction. And so I can relate to teenagers. I just saw their faces, just, horror. So looking at Victoria Falls, I know my call to what God's called me to do. Grabbing those kids from the edge just before they go over, pulling them onto the safety of the rock, and that obviously the message of that rock is the gospel. Helping those young people to understand, to bring those other young people onto the rock and saving them, gives me great satisfaction. Because then we're modeling it. We're grabbing those young people, we're pulling them onto the rock. They see it, they do it. That's it. That's what Jesus did. And that's my call, that's my passion. I don't want to see them go over the edge. God uses teenagers. We, in a sense, are a catalyst, and God is using Dare to Share to reach the nations. It's moving quickly. We just got to hold on.